Hi there, folks. This is, I guess, episode 5 of my Living Like Linus series. Um, I had the fracture clinic yesterday, so got my cast finished. They even gave me a choice of colour, which was cool, and most of the uh, most of the cut is healed up there nicely now. So you can see that lovely bit on my chin there. Yeah, it meant I could finally shave. I hate having a beard. Um, on that note, I've been thinking what I could do in my inheritance when I finally get it. So there's going to be a good chunk going towards my credit card, and after that, get my teeth seen to if I can. So it's not looking too great. So I don't know if it's a side effect of medication or not, but sometimes my jaw clenches shut. And last few times that happened, I got painfully reminded of an old problem with the tooth right at the back here. It was killing for a while, and then it left me alone. And then my jaw started clenching again, and just like, ow! So yeah, that needs getting sorted out at some point. So some of this is just getting together an agenda for today, I guess. So I need to refill my medication, get my things charged now Easter's over. Hope you folks all had a good Easter. Me, well, use your imagination. So yeah, it's a little hard to enjoy Easter in this sort of backdrop. But yeah, I got myself a bit of Easter chocolate to have over the weekend. So yeah. But on a more positive note, that organisation that I got suggested last week at the hospital, the Woolwich, I decided to get in touch with them yesterday while I was in town centre. It turns out they do a number of things, not just temporary housing, which, by the way, you need to be referred through the council, so I need to chase them up in a bit as well. But they also do a breakfast run, so I had a nice little breakfast this morning. Well, it nice by what standards they can manage, if you know what I mean. I mean, beggars can't be choosers, right? So it was a nice bacon and cheese roll, hard-boiled egg, Kit Kat, and a coffee. So that was nice. I got my details, reminded me I needed to get back to the council, like, boy, you wanted me to call back. What's going on? So, but yeah, so things are looking up on that front. And I know, especially last week, I was feeling a bit down. I mean, you'd be too if you'd broken your dominant hand. But, so yeah, it was a kind of a wake-up call, I guess. Like, felt like the universe was trying to teach me something, like, don't be too independent. Like, remember, you got services you can use, or something like that. I don't know. But it was like I kept finding ways around the whatever it was they were trying to teach me, or whatever path they wanted me to take me down, or whatever. So it was like, okay, screw this. Over you go. It's like, yeah, point taken. So yeah, so I need to get actually need to get that kind of thing in place, which is looking a little more promising now. I know what, like, the extent of the services they offer. Like they were taking my details this morning, and they were even like asking apologetically, almost like what gender I am. So I was just like, I'm non-binary actually, so I'm glad you asked. So yeah, one of the I think few services left in the UK that's actually trans friendly. Don't get me started on recent headlines. Good grief. But yeah, I mean, aside from that, I mean, it's no secret anymore, me being here. There's a few people who directly know I'm staying here. Like, there's one guy actually watching me come out from the tent to go onto the main path, and even said hi once I was in with earshot. There were a couple of people I knew from before. Like, one of them was a neighbour actually. They were just like, "Is it you living in those tents?" So much for being stealthy, eh? But I guess it's kind of hard when they're two big bell tents. But yeah. Still, even with me not being as inconspicuous as I hoped, I'm still being left alone. I'm still being treated like a person, which is great. I would expect it to be different even in the town centre. I know people tend to be more arseholey in the towns and cities. But around here, like I described it on a Reddit comment, like I got very lucky here. That I managed to stay in a nice little area where everyone likes everyone else. So like even this morning coming back, as like one guy off to work and just like greeted me as he walked past, and then we ended up having a little chat, mostly about the weather, which was like absolutely pissing it down yesterday. I don't think I've got any more leaks. But yeah, speaking of, if you can see all that lot, those are actually incontinence pads that the hospital gave me last week. Things got a little sideways at the hospital. As I mentioned, I was very much out of it most of the day then, and I had a bit of an accident on my way out. I did get to the toilet in time, but I'm not going to go into details, obviously, but I needed new incontinence pads. So I asked the hospital if they had any spare, and they gave me a few I could use, and those two humongous things that I couldn't. But they did come in handy for when it started raining. I think it was a few days later or something like that, and the rain cap wasn't doing its job, so it was like leaking. It was leaking through the hole there and dripping down the pole. So I had a nice little pool of water by the doorway the next day. So I was very glad in the end that I had those humongous incontinence pads, because they're lovely and absorbent. So they're there to mop up any other water that decides to drip down the pole. So yeah, that part of living in a tent isn't so fun. Similar thing with like the temperature in the mornings. I mean, it's not so bad at the moment. Right, I know when I first started staying here, it was a bit colder, so I was living in that big robe thing. It's been stuck under my bed for a few weeks now, I think. So what is it? When is it? So the thing I forgot to mention is, all right, 23rd of April. It's currently 11:23. So 23rd. So yeah, it's coming up to a month now since I lived in the tent. Since I first started living in a tent. So in the main, it was fine until shit happened. I obviously had to move the filter inside. Something I hadn't thought of at the time is that that filter that I showed you, it's currently still attached to the hose, but I can also screw that to a water bottle. So that water bottle that I had been using to filter, to keep the clean water in, I can use that to scoop up water from the river, screw the filter onto it, and then filter that into a bigger bottle. Like I've got a 5 litre bottle there. I'm going to have to get a new tap for it, just to show you. Yeah, screw it. I'll switch cameras. Give me a sec. That's better, isn't it? So that's what I've got at the moment. I tried to get, so that's the bottle. I tried to get a tap for it to, make it easier to get water out of, except that particular one doesn't work. It's meant for a bigger, one of those water cooler bottles. So I'm going to have to replace that with something else. Those, if you can see them clearly now, those are the humongous incontinence pads that are now acting to mop up any leakage from that hole there, because up there is where the water was leaking from, despite there being a rain cap on the top. So it was dripping all the way down there and collecting around there and dropping down there because it was unlevel. I'm very glad actually it hasn't gone over there. But it's probably because that side is higher than that side. So that hasn't been fun. So I've got that water bottle over there, which I will now be using. After that's emptied, I will use that for pure river water and then filter it. So it's that filter there. That can screw. Oh, excuse me. Ow. Yeah. So you see those threads there? They can hopefully screw onto that, and then I can filter that into that. That's why I've got that bottle on, and yes, it's water. It's a water-filled bottle, despite the fact I'm living literally next to a natural water supply. But I only got it because I wanted the bottle. Except it's not a big enough bottle, so I'm going to have to replace the tap. And that arrived sometime last week. That is a collapsible water bowl. And this little baby, all-purpose soap. I was reading through the reviews on this thing, and from what they were saying, when it says all-purpose soap, it does literally mean all-purpose. Like you can use it for pots, clothes, hair, shower. So yeah, that is a damn good find. Apparently it was really, really good as well, even better than the travel laundry detergent I got, which is annoying because I've got a nice few tubes of it. Never mind, I'll go through that first when I get to it. Anyway, so that's my now empty laundry bag, washing bag, because I built up enough laundry in the end that I was like, screw this, I'll just chuck it in the laundrette. So there's a laundrette down the road in the village that's closer than the leisure centre has this laundrette. It cost me a fair few quid trying to sort out, trying to figure out things like tumble dry heating and stuff. But I got there in the end. It's not too bad, except this wallage organisation also has things like laundry post even. So what I might do is see if I can get my post rerouted to there rather than the storage container, because that is way further out. But yeah, apart from that, I'm trying to think what else there is. Well, yeah, my attempt at entertainment. So word searches, and I think that's a code word, but oh, it's not. Yeah, that's my other favourite kind of puzzle. So arrow words and word searches, I like doing. There's only so many of those you can do, obviously. But yeah, I mean, one thing I hadn't factored in when considering this whole living in tent situation is how easily it is to get bored. And it wasn't such a problem before when I had things like that. That's my next blanket thing on. That's my next blanket square I'm working on. Oh yeah, I did finish my mat in the end. It's pretty waterlogged at the moment. Bear with me a second. It's pretty waterlogged at the moment because of the times it has been absolute pissing down. I was trying. Bear with me. Right. There we go. Looking a little worse for wear already, but there is my mat that I was working on. So it would be working better if I had an awning. So yeah, I would like, I can get a relatively cheap awning for about, excuse me, for about 25 quid I think, for 3 metre by 3 metre, which is ample for out there, and it would mean I can actually it would mean I can actually like cook things without fear of getting rained on, because you know rain and fire don't mix. So that's the next thing I want to buy when I can. I know I can't take for granted that I'll be in temporary accommodation anytime soon, just because of how slow these services work. And I have to chase the council up because they wanted me to call back when possible, which I did last week, end of last week. The guy at the council was, funny enough, was like, why is it so hard to get in touch with you? Hello? Living in a tent, you know. I do have so that is my solar charger. Ow. That's my solar charger there, which is even picking up sunlight from inside the tent, which is cool. But yeah, it's all going into a bag and going up to the leisure centre fairly soon, because everything needs charging now. So that is everything, I think. Yeah, I mean, all this thing about like getting more pots and stuff, cooking one-handed is going to be a bit of a struggle, which is why I eventually relented and got in touch with these guys in the first place. And we'll see how it goes anyway. Right, I'll sign off for now though. Catch you later. Hi there folks. It's been a week since my last fracture clinic appointment. In fact, I had another one yesterday. I'm actually sitting outside the tent because despite the reflective cover I've got on, it gets too warm in there. It's about 20 degrees or something like that at the moment. So yeah, I'm having to keep a window open by my bed at night keep the mesh doors open and the main doors closed, and I'm still only sleeping in my underwear. Inside the sleeping bag liner and the sleeping bag, but the red blanket that I had has come off. So yeah, it's cooking at the moment. Speaking of cooked, so this is partly for my records because I'm still a little bit out of it from the fracture clinic yesterday for reasons I'll explain in a minute. If you guessed another round of gas in there, you guessed correctly. So basically, it's all well and good at first, like go for x-ray before the fracture clinic. Update in short. Notice anything different? Yeah, that'll be from where they had to take the cast off to re-manipulate it because it had displaced inside the cast. So that was great fun. To make matters worse, I forgot to pick up my script for my next batch of vaccine on Monday. So by Tuesday, I'd rationed out my last ones over the weekend. So by yesterday, I hadn't had any for like a couple of days or something like that. And the withdrawals are swift and brutal. So I hadn't quite got back to feeling like Shane minus the alcohol, but any of you played Stardew Valley 6-heart event? Yeah, that's how I get when I've been off venlafaxine for a while. Even like that's why I'm on venlafaxine, because I was starting to drift towards that state of mind by that point. So yeah, I hadn't got to that level yet, but I was starting to feel pretty spaced out. I also hadn't slept well the night before, so by the time I went to get my wrists into, there's that plus the gas and air. I had a great time. In fact, they started me on the gas and air while taking the cast off because they had to like twist and turn my arm around to while they were using the saw, which, as you can imagine, is pretty painful. So they had me taking that while they're taking the cast off. They had to wait for me to become responsive again before they actually started manipulating my arm. They were hesitant to put me back on it for that reason. But once it started hurting, then they put me back on it. Hurt like a bugger before I managed to get back on it properly. So yeah, 2 rounds of that, I was feeling really out of it for the rest of the day, which would have likely been a problem because I had a viewing booked for this property in the nearby town. It was actually a reasonable rent. It would have fallen well within local housing allowance HLA rates. So I was looking forward to that. Then when I was in the fracture clinic waiting to go back to see the doctor after having another x-ray just to check how it went. More on that in a minute. But while I was waiting for that, they called me back saying, sorry, we've had to cancel the viewing because the flat is now taken. So there was that. Then when I went back into the doctor's, he was like, I've got some good news and some bad news. The good news is we won't have to try and realign your bones again. And I just looked at him and was like, the bad news is I'm going to need surgery. Yep. That's what that little marker is. So the bone in my wrist is so fucked now that if they didn't operate, my hand would end up healing like that, and I wouldn't be able to use it at all. So I looked at the surgeon when he was telling me about it, and I was like, well, I would like to knit and crochet again after all this, so I would like to have the operation, please. This was after he gave me a very stern talking to about the fact that I'm living in a tent and I'm going to be sent home from hospital with a bandage on my arm where they would have made an incision to put a metal plate in my arm to realign the bone. That's what they're going to do. Sometime next week, they said they're going to call me and arrange for that to happen. But yeah, more metal work to go with the screw in my thumb. In fact, despite me having 3 out of 4 limbs in plaster from a motorbike accident, this is now making that look like a walk in the park. The fracture is that bad. Honestly, it's starting to hit me now that, I mean, it's becoming hard to stay positive, to be honest. The doctors are actually very concerned about, to the point where they won't send me back from hospital until I have somewhere safe to stay and recuperate. The tent, with all that sort of thing, ain't it? Because they're very concerned about the risk of infection. In fact, the surgeon gave me a talking to along the lines of how great the because of the risk of infection, what that would actually mean. So he was saying, at best, I'd lose either use of or actually lose my fingers. At worst, I would lose my life. Step down from that will be losing my arm. So yeah, it's pretty gnarly, all things considered. I was telling the Woolwich guys this morning about this, mainly so they can update the council. And I was like, if I couldn't manage before in the tent with a broken wrist, I definitely can't now, especially after surgery. It was like they won't even send me back to the tent because the risk is too great. So I emailed the council explaining this a little bit. I did find another property. I mean, to be fair, it's not that hard to find properties. The hard part is finding an affordable property, by which I mean falls within local housing, falls within LHA rates. So as I explained to the council, because that one for 450 is gone, the cheapest now is 650. Mainly those are for 2 or 3 bedroom properties, which obviously I don't want. I mean, this other flat I was actually really hopeful for, because after some thinking, especially, it's a nice small flat, and small is what I really need right now. Look, I was doing the maths via a spreadsheet yesterday when I eventually got back to the leisure centre. The DWP have adjusted my universal credit again. So a bit of spreadsheet maths, it was like, with any luck, I should be able to keep the storage going and renting the tent. to the tent, renting storage, renting the storage and renting a property, providing that all the rent, providing that I don't see any of the rent money at all. It will just go straight to the landlord. So hopefully, yeah, my benefits would stay the same for that reason. There is a property I found in a pretty nice part of the borough, actually, to the point where I'm surprised it's going for as cheap as it is. And yeah, £650 doesn't sound cheap, but this one, I'm kind of hesitant to talk about this because I don't want to jinx it. But this one, it's fairly small, I think. I'm not sure. The pictures weren't too clear on that, but it's furnished, which is a surprise in itself. It also includes council tax and water bills in the rent. I mean, I had to ask the council, like, okay, it's not within LHA rates, but where would I stand for financial help on that? Considering that there's two bills included in the rent, which doesn't usually happen unless it's house share. And I had to double and triple check this property to make sure it was actually a self-contained flat and not a house share. What, £650 wouldn't be house share, but no, it's a self-contained one-bedroom flat. I mean, I'm really, really, really hoping this is a case of third time lucky. And I mean, I made the silly decision yesterday to be like, if anything else wants to go wrong today, can you just get it over with? So yeah, yesterday was a shit show. I'm really hoping today, but well, especially now that I hope that things are going to start looking up. Ironically, as I was explaining this other condition that I mentioned before, mentioned it to the doctor. He was asking about medical conditions, so I mentioned I was waiting for a urology appointment. So he asked me about it, and then he was like, mention that admission because it's likely that I could get fast-tracked for referral. I mean, on the one hand, it actually feels pretty bad that I'm now given priority treatment, probably because I'm homeless. But I was, while I was waiting for the doctor to go through his paperwork or doing other stuff, there's this other doctor in the background that I could hear talking to another patient. And from what I can gather, this poor patient had a worse injury than I had. But she was told that she was should be the waiting list for their operation will be about 3 years. Meanwhile, they want to get me operated on sometime next week and may even be able to fast track another referral or something. I mean, on the one hand, it's a case of survivor's guilt, I guess. Right, why am I being prioritised when some other poor sod is having to wait that long for treatment? On the other hand, that patient is probably going back to a house of some sort that they probably have a partner or something be ready and waiting to look after them. I don't have any of that, so there's that, I guess. Yeah, it feels a bit weird now. Yeah, I'm getting a bit emotional. Things really didn't pan out the way I'd expected them to. All this happened because of a freak accident the other week where 1 minute I was trying to refill my water bag, the next I took a fall over the edge of a 1 foot drop and wrecked my wrist so bad that all this other shit's happening. Doctor tried to reassure me that this is all likely to be a good thing because of how I'm getting prioritised for everything now, because I'm homeless, and because how serious this could be if I don't get sent to a safe place to recover. So there's that, and I get a bit of hay fever. Yeah, it's all really weird how things have panned out. There's a case of it never rains but it pours. Like, on the one hand, I'm getting prioritised for this treatment. On the other, my dominant hand is out of action for God knows how long now. I was told that I'd likely be putting a removable splint. Removable as in I could take it off, do some physio recommended exercises and then put it back on. Obviously I will be doing that the first chance I get, because I would like to be able to use my hand again. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this is like, did all that really happen yesterday? And then it's like looking back at my arm and this arrow pointed on my arm. And it's like, obviously it did all happen yesterday. And checking the listings on the property websites again, and like, yeah, that property's been taken off the market. So did that first one. It was going for 600 that I was hoping to get on. Although that was a bigger flat, and there was a case of like, am I going to be a bit overwhelmed by it again? But I don't know. I honestly don't know what's going to happen now. Yeah. On top of all that, I was trying to use my laptop at the leisure centre yesterday, and the screen's broken. Like, I knew there was a problem with the hinge. Like, I knew that when I got it. But now, probably because, like, opening and closing and stuff, because of the hinge issue. But now the screen needs replacing. So the only way I can use my laptop now, while all this is going on, is to get an external monitor for it. Which, to be fair, I did have my eye on a couple. There's all a case of inheritance missing, because we're looking at like 70-80 quid to get one of those. So yeah, I could really use my inheritance right now, please. Yeah, I mean, I've been going back and forth on how I was going to use it. It was going to be like, it's still going to be paying off my credit card debt, which thankfully is the only one I have left now. There's getting my face lasered, which I want to do anyway still. With the property I was going to look at, I started building up this whole watch list of stuff, of like different furniture that I'd need to deck it out with. So I was like, okay, yeah, I guess my inheritance is pretty much spoken for now on that front. Well, a good chunk of that will be anyway. I don't know now. I definitely want to pay off my debt and put the inheritance aside, for now at least, and forget about it, apart from getting face lasered or whatever else. I definitely need to empty my car, get that MOT'd. So there's that I need to see to. But so yeah, there's those. Apart from that, I don't really want to jinx anything else that might happen. But, yeah. So yeah, I know what Linus wouldn't have any of this sort of problem, would he? I mean, well, I don't know what he'd do if he, say, had a nasty break like that or whatever. Who knows? Me, on the other hand, yeah, I mean, I was enjoying tent life until this happened. I mean, there were a few things that I was getting fed up with, like having to go to the leisure centre while waiting for the inheritance to come through so I could buy a power station and solar panels to charge it with and stuff like that. Yeah. Um, yeah. I guess I'll be ending another episode. Thankful now that the video editing software I have, that I had the good sense to sign up for the Pro subscription version, which allows me to sync to cloud spaces, because I can't edit on my laptop, so I'm gonna have to see if I can use my phone for it. But yeah, I'm going to. I've got my stuff there. Again, some of this is just get a picture here, partly from my records. So there's stuff in there to take up, like rubbish to empty, and I've got my laptop bag behind me. But if you can see it, probably not. Laptop bag, sans laptop. That's hidden in my suitcase. Although, to be fair, it's been really good around here. The one thing I really lucked out on with all this is location. People around here are absolutely amazing. I mentioned before about the whole, despite it being obvious, at least to some people, that I'm homeless and still being treated like a person, physical boundaries around here are still being respected. Right, and I say physical, I mean like people don't go beyond the fence, apart from the Woolwich guys who drop off my breakfast. So they've seen where I am. One of them was pretty impressed how organised I was with it, and the fact that I have these nice bell tents pitched. Last week, when I was chatting to them, there was one guy either jogging, walking his dog, or maybe both. Just walked past, saw me there with my bed head and my wearable blanket thing. Like it was obvious that I lived there. Just greeted the whole lot of us as he went through. I was doing a bit of doing a bit of shopping yesterday. Is getting a meal deal. As much as I didn't want to do that, I don't really have much choice at the moment, because cooking with one hand, it's tricky at the best of times, especially with this kind of fracture. Like, I can move my hand. Well, in fact, I'm being encouraged to move my fingers to keep them mobile. But because of the nature of the fracture, been described as a distal radial fracture, if that means anything to anybody. But yeah, compensated fracture, I think it's called. It's the one where it's broken in at least 2 places, and it's likely that there's shattered bone as well. Which is obviously the case with me because how unstable it is. But I was getting a meal deal in the shop yesterday. I had this basket hooked over my bad arm because, like, something that I could actually use it for. This woman shopping next to me takes one look at me, is like asks if I want any help, and then she's like, "Let me know if you need anything." Like, doesn't work there, just a fellow customer, but that's what they're like around here. So yeah, I think it's borough wide. I mentioned before that I've been in. I end up in conversation with random people, even in town. Even though in general, it's people a bit more arseholey in town because nature of the beast, I guess. But still, got people in general, they're lovely. So yeah, I would very much like to stay in this area if I can. I don't know what they're going to be like in this other area. I mean, it looks pretty nice, to be fair. Don't want to say too much about it, but it's a seaside town. It's also a very touristy town, from what I gather. It's like you often see rent listings for holiday caravans, which, I mean, kind of skews the results a little when you're just browsing for property to live in and you're seeing all these caravans being listed. It's like, yeah, that's not what I'm looking for, thanks. But I mean, I don't know what people are like there. But if it's anything like the rest of this borough, I'm cautiously optimistic. Well, I say borough, I mean, first thing I noticed when I came up to Swansea is how much more friendly the people are. So, no. Fingers crossed on more than one level. But, yeah. TLDR. Things like shit hit the fan yesterday. Hopefully things are getting cleaned up from today onwards. So hopefully, I don't want to jinx it, but yeah. Hopefully next episode things will be a bit more cheerful. But yeah, leave it there for now. Catch you later.